for a team that is a bit more by the book like EDG, so gaining all that relevant experience. But we are going to get into draft. Rogue Warriors once again going to be on the blue side. They have kept their bans almost the same. They have left Viego open this time instead to respect Gallus Varus, which is totally understandable.
Very understandable of a ban there. When someone goes 15-0-6, I believe was the end score, you tend to have a little bit more respect towards it. And now we actually see RNG, they're going to ban away the Senna. I like this difference from the side of RNG saying, look, we won't ban the Nocturne this time around. We'll give you that one because we know that Betty is probably going to look towards something like that in the bot side.
I also feel like this was saying, since you're leaving open Viego, you're going to take Nocturne, but they can go for the Viego side of the matchup because Viego inside of laning phase, right, incredibly strong. I think we've hit on all the points before: low CDQ, the sustain, your auto attack range. So it does leave you options available. But no, RNG look like they're just going to go back to that same strat that worked in game one.
Yeah, go for the exact same one. And we can see Rogue Warriors now. They may just look to lock in the set here. So swapping up the mid lane and the top lane a little bit. And that's exactly what they'd end up going for. I would love to see a Gwen right now from the side of RNG. But no, looks like they're going to go with the Ezreal this time instead. So getting themselves the preferred matchup in the bot lane. But Rogue Warriors, they might ban out the Gwen here and the Viego just on the back side of this. And there's the Kalista I just mentioned about Betty. He is not going to be getting his hands on this champion.
And I definitely think that's what they would have looked for in their composition, right? Their composition just spells out all in. Everyone's going to be diving onto the side of RNG. You want to find champions that can prop that up, burst out members before these Karma Shields can really do work in extended team fights. So now for the side of Rogue Warriors, I wonder where they will look for an AD carry. We have seen Jhin Prio fall off, I'd say quite a bit, still falls in that same realm of you can prop up the engage with your ultimate. You have a ton of bursts coming in if you play around that forward shot correctly as well.
I love this ban from RNG. Thresh is such an enabler for so many hyper carry ADCs. You get things like, they could still go Kog'Maw Lulu, but you got things like the Jinx, the Aphelios. They need the safety of a Thresh.
It's literally a 3-for-1 ban, right?
Exactly.
You actually ban out Jinx, Aphelios, and Kog'Maw by banning out that pick. Well, I guess Lulu's still open if Rogue Warriors did want to go for a Lulu Kog'Maw type composition, but I don't think it really goes thematically with their first 3 picks. So the Kai'Sa still being open goes all in with that dive composition that they're building. The Nautilus coming out as well. I think the interesting thing is the side of RNG going towards the Gragas. Some people might speculate, hey, maybe that's Ming going towards the pick. But we need to remember, I think the most prolific Gragas player on the side of RNG, the person who gets his hands on it every time they lock it in, is typically Xiao Hu.
Yep, and he goes full AP with exactly as you say his name. They do lock in the Braum for Ming, so stopping a lot of this engage. And Braum has kind of teetered himself up into the upper echelons of the support pool because he does stop a lot of what these power picks want to do. Nocturne, Set, Rumble, Kai'Sa, Nautilus. It's an all-in brawl trying to jump out on top of you. One well-placed Glacial Fissure, and that entire engage is botched.
Braum has been sleeper strong, in my opinion, for quite a while. I think he was a pick we could have seen come out in Spring Split as well, because he does so well against so many of the types of champions that are in the meta. I think even more so now that we have a lot of like low range and melee mid laners coming in, to where Braum just does so well against them. And I really like how both teams this time around really just concentrated their focus on what the identity of their comp is, right? Because for RNG, it is all kite back. You bring in the Gragas for the disengage, you bring in the Braum for the disengage as well. You have the Ezreal instead of the Varus, so gonna have that safety coming out from your E. On the opposite side, Rogue Warriors are saying, hey, we are gonna force those team fights. We are going all in with the engage.
So much ways they can make this fight work, but if it doesn't work out, if your first kind of engage is gone, when you blow all your cooldowns, this is the kind of the thing we note when we see Rumble and Set paired together, and specifically with the Nocturne. You don't really have a re-engage. It's all gone. It's done. You've thrown it all into one thing, and if it didn't work, well, you just got to live with the consequences. For RNG, they have a lot of ways of kiting this one back. The Karma gives you so much safety. The Ezreal, even if you do jump onto him, he is so slippery. And of course, we've just talked about at length with the Braum. And of course, the Gragas with the, we didn't actually mention it, the explosive cast. He can separate people out. So if the Nocturne goes in thinking he's got dive buddies, he might be completely isolated and alone. So for RNG, I think they're going to be very, very happy with the way things have kind of panned out in the picks and bans. And for Rogue Warriors, if they can get a little bit of an advantage, they may be able to snowball it.
Also, interestingly, that Forge going towards the Ghost rather than the Teleport. Teleport a lot more of a laning summoner spell, which, you know, people might think of like cross-mapping, right? But when you have the Teleport, it's very easy to get back to mid, not miss out on waves and things like that. Where for the Ghost, that is a lot more utility on a shorter cooldown that you have in team fights. So Rogue Warriors comp to me and their summoner spell choice says it's all about the 5v5, so that is what they are looking for 100%. For RNG, nothing too out of the ordinary. I like what you were saying about like Rogue Warriors having opportunities to find the dive, but RNG having multiple ways to kite out and disrupt the fight. I do think Rogue Warriors have an opportunity to take a win with this composition, because with RNG, right, we've seen many times where teams take these sort of comps that need to kite out the front line, don't want to dive in, and I feel like those are the comps we've seen most failed execution-wise coming into the LPL, to where teams do see opportunities for kills. Their players that should be peeling are running forward. I don't think RNG are going to find anything. Rogue Warriors are having their respect. But point is, I feel like there's a bit more nuance in execution for RNG than there is for the side of Rogue Warriors.
Again, sometimes the easier executed comp is the better comp, regardless of meta. You know, if you can just get your engage off all the time, then why wouldn't you be in the ascendancy as such? But we'll see how it all pans out. I did like the little ward we saw there from Rogue Warriors, just making sure that they weren't getting caught out, because something that we kind of talk about, or we don't really talk about, is that Rom has such a good level 1. He is so strong with his concussive blows passive, that if you're able to get someone caught out, like in that Tribe Rush there, you can just stack up those concussive blows, get the damage down, get the CC down as well, and at level 1 you can just do so much with this champion.
I mean, just think about any meta where we have Braum, Olaf together. Level 1, the most oppressive combo, you know, ever. It is just absolutely ridiculous, but yeah, we're seeing RNG doing a good job with the concussive blows, can proc those with the Mystic shots as well, so doing a nice job of getting Prime bot lane. From the fact that they didn't leash, we saw that Betty and Chocho did, so that allowed for Gala and Ming to get on the wave first and take control of the wave. We know when it comes to topside, Nocturne pushes almost every matchup in the book that isn't, you know, more obscure, maybe something like a Quinn coming out, having the range advantage of just being able to bull you out with these autos. So Xiaohu going to be playing more for the team. We do expect him to go with the Everfrost. It has been his build of choice on the Gragas, but RNG might be looking to set up another dive bot. They do have both TPs.
Oh my god, it is rinse repeat here in the bot side, but instead of 5, they're only going to put in 4. Ming tanks up as much as he possibly can. So does Gala, so does Cryan. They haven't quite taken down Betty just yet. There it is, double kill for Wei. As clean as you like for RNG.
Yep, and nice to see them. They all pretty much tanked up 2 turret shots, pivoted out, pivoted back in to pick up those kills. Still, with the low health bars, it's going to mean that Ice Coke is able to get double scuttle. But when you get 2 kills, I don't really think RNG are complaining.
I don't think they care, is the honest answer to that. You get 2 scuttlers, but let's see the replay in this one, and it's just full commitment. And I do love seeing this from RNG, because we talked about how in the early mid game they are a little bit indecisive, but this was clean calls here from from pretty much everybody.
Yeah, only one kind of thing going a little bit wrong, where Gala accidentally taking up a turret shot once Ming did drop aggro. No one else was able to pick up that one, but still didn't matter in the end. Sure, Wei has to blow his flash, but you highlighted in game 1. He's taking Hex Flash on this Xin Zhao to find more creative opportunities where he can find ganks and get involved in fights. Hover over a wall, use Hex Flash. Unexpected, no one thought you were going to be there. You're now able to pick up a kill for your team.
That is 2 nice little kills there for Wei onto this Xin Zhao, who has got himself the Iron Spike whip. And should be building up very nicely. And I actually wanted to talk about, you know, the early TPs we're seeing coming out from Cryan right now, and why I think they're so good. I don't believe your job as and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but your job as a Karma mid is not to win game and take over the game. Your job is to facilitate the rest of your laners, the rest of your carries, and to get them in. So yes, you lose a little bit of CS, you're 10 CS down, doesn't matter. You literally set up your team to get 2 kills onto your Xin Zhao, or maybe even 2 kills onto your Ezreal. But speaking of which, Cryan might have to flash himself out. He is going to go not over the wall, actually. He's just going to try and fight Forge here. It's now as a 2v2 as Forge goes over, does get the Facebreaker and the Haymaker, but a speed up and the shield. Cryan should be able to keep himself alive. Just get the knockback, but Nocturne is hovering. Not quite got the paranoia just yet, as Forge knows he is just pushing himself down towards this bot side. Crying going to try go for the execute. Don't think he's going to be able to get it in time. He needs about 5 or 6 more seconds. Not quite able to do it. And that is going to be a... Oh, it is! Oh! Actually, never mind! He got the execution. Crying, very nicely done.
And I mean, the thing is, the fact that Forge followed him the whole time, right? He's missing out on CS and EXP. Doesn't get anything for that as well. So, ultimately, the fact that he was able to pull him around as we get an engage in bots. But baited. Should baited, Pang. We get nothing.
You get absolutely nothing.
We need to remember, it is a Braum versus Nautilus, but Ice Coke being a level up, I think we might get something here.
There's a level up with the equalizer available to him. We actually have Ming roaming down. This is a very weird position here for Ice Coke. I feel like you weren't quite in a position to challenge that. We'll end up pushing in, but now with Crying back into this wave, you can see Forge just trying to hover around as well. They do have a showstopper, but no flash, no ghost. There's the equalizer down all over some wolves and a Gromp, as we can see the TP coming in. This is going to be Xiaohu coming in with the explosive cast. Has not got the belly bop just yet, still waiting for it. You can see the flash from Ice Coke. The paranoia goes down. There's a good explosive cast to separate everybody, and the paranoia is just to disengage, but the disengage can't come out. Chocho accepts his fate and ends up falling down. RNG 4-0 up in this early game. Going to be able to pick themselves up a dragon as well. And this is fantastic for RNG.
And plays like that are just so weird to me, where Rogue Warriors aren't all committed to the play, right? And the thing that signals that for me is when the enemy top laner TP's down before your top laner, when you're the team making the aggressive action, right? You are the ones aggressing into RNG's jungle. I feel like you should be coordinating, looking for 8917 to look for that TP before Xiao was able to, but at first, Rogue Warriors seemed like they didn't want to commit because, right, both Forge and Crying are coming from base. Crying, of course, a lot closer towards this blue buff than Forge is. We see the equalizer come down, but Wayne and Crying both not really taking any damage. And then you even look at the TP locations to where 8917 not really having the best TP place. I guess for the fact that he has paranoia, it would have been fine if he would have been able to get here sooner, and Rogue Warriors would have been able to actually be more of the aggressors. But you're split up. RNG are just stacked as 5-man. Your equalizer's already down, and then by the time your Nocturne gets there, right, if he paranoias in, he's just gonna die himself.
Yeah, they didn't actually take the dragon in the end for the side of RNG. They didn't feel comfortable with that particular play, but I will say that I think the big thing you can tell when a Nocturne teleport is kind of not planned, if you will, is when he doesn't pop the paranoia first. Normally, ooh, as I say that, Forge, Jesus, taking a lot of hurt here. Now Chocho has to keep him safe. We can see the True Shot Barrage going over whiffs across everybody, but Xiaohu died, but they traded for Rumble. They end up stealing away the Rift Herald, and now RNG are on Operation Take Away the Rift again, as Ming goes in, gonna get Showstopper down on the backside of this Gala, trying to do enough damage on the back end. Killer Instinct, though, from Betty puts him right in the face of the Braum, and no one's going to be able to take down this Rift Herald. This incredibly, I don't even know what you want to call it. It just seems like a dumpster fire for RNG. Just stay away from it. You don't need to go near it.
Yeah, Rift Herald definitely not a friend of Royal Never Give Up, and it's just so strange to see the same things happen consistently for the side of RNG. You can pretty much just take off the nameplates of what teams they're facing and the same mistakes come out. Rogue Warriors this time are the ones who look for this. We see the fact that, hey, they feel like they're moving first. They feel like they have a good angle with the fact that Way's coming over the wall. But the Rogue Warriors bot lane actually was able to make it up first, especially with the angle that Betty came from. He's able to assist on the top side of the skirmish and not just have to fight his way through mid and river to get there. And then Rogue Warriors just capitalizing on a bit of hubris on the side of RNG.
Now, losing 3 members there, not exactly ideal for the side of RNG, but they do end up denying the Rift Herald take, and they can start themselves up onto this dragon as well. So all in all, not the worst thing in the world, but I feel like for RNG, they need to take the same approach to Rift Heralds as we saw with EDG in spring 2021, where they just didn't care. They just left them. They didn't go near them, because right now I just feel it feels like it's just a death trap. It's just a bait and switch for them every single time. And like you said, exclusively almost at these Rift Herald fights, they just seem to be either overconfident or completely misreading the situation. It just doesn't seem to be working for them.
A big thing about RNG's Rift Heralds, if you notice as well, is they typically try to just commit 4-man to the play to where a lot of the teams they're facing, if they are contesting them, commit their whole bot lane. And then RNG will still try to fight out instead of doing the thing where it's like, hey, we're going to back off, we're going to get plates and gold onto our AD carry.
Oh, speaking of going on to the AD carries, we do see Gala getting out, going to use the heal to keep Ming alive. Equalizer and the Ignite committed to that. No killer instinct just yet, just coming off of cooldown now, so weren't able to get the full kind of Betty experience, but nice zone off there by Ice Coke, making sure his bot lane can get to the point at which it needs to be. That's going to be a nice little bit of gold here for Betty to be able to kind of get this one going. But the cross map happening up in top side. This should be a pretty easy dive here as Nocturne doesn't really have a place to go. He's going to try and get in. He's trying to get the spell shield down. Doesn't quite get it. Xiaohu just keeping himself in the tanking of the turret. And they're able to trade that one very, very nicely.
Yeah, so RNG at least are able to trade. We see that Rogue Warriors want to answer, though. If you look at your minimap, we see numerous members making their way up top. Ice, Coke, Chocho coming from lane. Forge trying to wrap around. And I think they might be able to find it.
Not quite, unfortunately. No equalizer just yet, so Xiaohu should be able to get himself a recall out and get himself away. As we see now, Forge is behind Cryan. And, oh, the switcheroo! Flash instantly at the exact same time. The Karma and the Set swap places.
Yeah, nice coming out from Cryan, making sure that Forge isn't able to find that showstopper, pull him, bring him under turret, and try to secure that kill for the side of Rogue Warriors. On the opposite side, though, we see Gala has just been picking up farm. It pretty much took away all the advantage that Rogue Warriors were able to find by chunking out Braum earlier on and just losing a wave for the side of RNG. Now Gala getting free plates. He's been farming up a storm. Now Betty's actually the one getting zoned off from his wave because Chocho had roamed up towards the top side.
Yeah, Betty getting a taste of what Zhang Wuji got in game 1. Not really having a fun time. Still very much in this game. 0-1 and 2 and has 100 CS or so. So not really that far behind as of the moment. But the Ezreal definitely scaling up. Gala has got that cull in the back pocket, so just picking up more and more gold every single time. And I do love these, what I call poke true shot barrages, where you just throw it out to make sure that they can't go in on you, even if they do land a hook or something that they're already, you know, Betty's already down below half health. So you have to respect that from the side of RNG, and they've got themselves a 1500 gold lead as the kills are kind of pretty much what their advantage, and the dragon, of course, are they're having right now. And speaking of advantages, we're going to see the paranoia, and 8-9-1-7 just deletes Xiaohu. Xiaohu scratching his head, not quite sure he calculated that one correctly.
Yeah, Xiaohu clearly thinking that he just has the damage to one shot burst out. 8-9-1-7, but we're not done. Cryan might be getting picked off.
He might be getting picked off as he gets with the haymaker, but oh, the Braum there to the rescue, and Chocho tries to flash away, but the concussive blows are enough, and Cryan gets himself a return kill. Nicely done there by RNG.
Wei and Ming being the heroes, already making their way over. Wei making his way down from his topside jungle. Ming was already hovering in river, knowing that Gala doesn't need any safety in the bottom lane. It's going to open up some vision for the side of RNG. And when Dragon's coming up in a minute, that will be nice. But we also need to keep our eye on the top side Rift Herald, as we maybe need to keep our eye on Forge as well.
Oh, well, keep your eye on him. He's dead. He's already gone, Lyric. And this is what we highlighted for RNG in spring. This is what made them so good. This duo of Ming and Wei roaming around, getting advantages for their team, and Gala just being told, survive. Stay alive. Don't worry about it. Just do not feed any kills over to the enemy ADC, and we'll be fine. And this is exactly what I wanted to see, something we haven't really seen for them so far this summer, and it's great to see them finally finding that rhythm again.
I mean, RNG have made Wei absolutely cracked. 5-1-1 on the Xin Zhao. Probably has a ton of gold in his pocket. Can make his way towards his second item. But with Cryan having a window from mid, they want to try and find a dive onto 8-9-1-7. He doesn't have Paranoia or Flash available.
Oh, he really wants these waves, though, and he walks just a little bit too far forward. Has got the Stride Breaker to keep himself alive. Wei, no Flash. Did use the Hex Flash to get over the wall, so I do like that little play. And we can see now with Chocho just clearing the wave, they know that the Xin Zhao is topside. They can take away this dragon, stop the stacking nicely and early. And for Rogue Warriors, they're kind of slowly falling further and further behind. It feels like RNG are getting their gears going, finding those small little bits that are, you know, working against them in their first few losses, the small little moments of overconfidence, shall we say, and getting themselves back up to the RNG that we saw and we loved at the end of spring.
You know, Penguin, here you are, telling a story, talking about big picture RNG, but my focus is on the fact that both AD carries finished farming their cull in that last interaction in bot lane. 350 Gs, baby! 350 Gs!
It is really satisfying when it happens. It's like, just like, yes,
it is.
I did it. I did it.
It's great.
I don't know why I didn't think I'd get 100 CS as an AD carry, but I'm going to stop myself there. Speaking of AD carries, that might be in a little bit of trouble. Betty gets hit with the concussive blows, and they have to use the paranoia defensively. They are going to go in straight away now. Off on top of that, the equalizer does get dropped down, and there's going to be Braum who gets dropped at the start of this play, but the Zinzao is huge.
Oh.
The two-shot barrage misses everybody. They're not quite able to get anything away. Trying his very, very best. Xiaohu as well goes golden. They do trade out 8-9-1-7. Look at these low health bars. They're trying so desperately. Oh, Chocho does the exact same Zanya's, but this time he falls. And that's going to be a nice trade back for RNG. A lot was committed there from the side of Rogue Warriors, but it all started from Betty almost getting caught out, and at the end of the day, kind of getting away with it.
Yeah, and that was the most unfortunate part, right? Because the fact that it was Betty being the one who was caught out meant he wasn't able to safely walk in and get all of his damage down, because he's the primary damage dealer for the side of Rogue Warriors. Ice Coke and 8917 extremely cooldown reliant. We are going to see here in the replay, he walks up. Both Cryin and Mink commit looking for this one, getting chunked extremely low, forced out about 60% HP, but now it's going to be quite hard for him to walk forward. Gala isn't even here, and this is the point where members like Forge and Betty start running away, and you can see that members like Chocho are wanting to walk forward and engage the fight, but right now, with how many items Wei does have, already having the Gore Drinker on top of the Phage, you just saw him in that fight, right? He was able to tank up so much damage, especially with his nice use of his ultimate, making sure that Rogue Warriors are left in a really awkward position of like, do we actually walk in and try to focus down to Zinzao, or do we leave? And that's where we saw the split decisions coming out from the side of RW.
Well, RW looking to see if they can maybe get something going for them in the spot side. Cryin, though, very, very safe on the Karma. Not going to be taken down just yet. And 4,000 gold lead, or just under it, as we approach the 20-minute mark. And RNG, they feel a little bit more confident. Feels like they're kind of finding their rhythm a little bit more. And for RW, again, small little moments where they could come back. Like, you can see just how close it almost was in that bot side. But again, I want to bring back to the ultimates and the ways that RNG can disengage. They can get everyone away from them, and Rogue Warriors will find it very, very difficult in order to stick onto someone for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah, the formations of fights definitely favor RNG. I'm going to pause because we have seen plays like this many times not exactly work out, but Cryin doesn't have flash.
Cryin does not have flash. He gets face break on top of the equalizer. He's dead. Good shutdown over to Ice Coke's Rumble. And that is a nice little bit of gold into his back pocket. As we can see now, they can just actually take this bot lane turret as well. So nice move there from Rogue Warriors, and it's good again to see them looking proactively for these plays, because I feel like the one big thing that we wait for to see from these lower end teams or the bottom of the table teams is proactiveness in the game.
Now I have a question. How do we know these players get money in their back pocket? What if they have a wallet? What if they have a satchel? What if they have a backpack where they keep their change in? I'm just saying, I hear a lot of casters say back pocket.
I was gonna say, is this you subtly calling out my crutch word?
No. Because this isn't a you or me thing, right? This is all of us people who talk about League of Legends.
It's the same with saying Zanya. Instead of Zanya's, they say go golden.
Could be a man purse, I'm not quite sure, but I feel like a satchel is pretty much the same thing, just cooler.
A satchel would be used for gold, so that's like Indiana Jones stuff,
Exactly.
Like I wouldn't put gold in a wallet. I'd put gold in a satchel after I stole it from the temple.
So what you're saying is, Ice Coke getting a little bit of gold back into that satchel as, pinks are coming out for Dragon, jumping back into actually what's happening on the rip. Does look like Rogue Warriors have tempo
no
for that one.
No one will notice it. No one will notice it. It was a beautiful segue as we come back into the game. Like you mentioned, 5 seconds until that Dragon does spawn. It is Rogue Warriors who are the first ones on the scene. You have TP available available. Pretty much all summoners except for Gala's flash and Betty's flash are available to pretty much all the sides. Nice Coke as well, just waiting for that cooldown to come up. But do RNG really want to go for this one? They have got 2 items onto the Ezreal. You can see Forge hovering in the fog of war. They land a hook. Paranoia comes out, Dragon resets. There is the showstopper on top with the Paranoia. They're trying to full dive. They're trying to go for this full ascendancy. They do find the Ezreal, and now Rogue Warriors. Can you get out? Can you get the damage down? Betty's still free hitting on the backside. You can see him. They're just going forward. Xiaohu flashes in, but it's Betty. 1 kill, 2 kills, not able to get any more. And Ming is hopping in and out like just madness right now. He will not allow RNG to lose this fight. RNG take it 4 for 2. And that is just a fantastic move. And never mind, it's going to be a 5 for 2 as Wei just keeps pushing forward. And we talked about how massive this jungler is. Ming and Wei carried that fight.
I mean, I think the biggest highlight to me was the fact that Wei is just casually zoning off 3 members. They can't walk past him. They can't duel him. He has the damage to be able to take each of them down if he so chooses. But there were a lot of, like, highlights and lowlights of this play. We're going to start off with the equalizer coming out from Ice Coke. Doesn't really hit any members on the side of RNG. Chocho looking for the engage. Paranoia coming out as well. It doesn't separate anyone because RNG are fine just trying to kite this fight back. Still with 8, 9, 1, and 7 and Betty jumping in, they do find their way onto Gala, but Wei still is the primary damage coming out for this side. And now with Xiaohu, Krine, and Ming able to focus on one target, look at Wei. Wei is fighting all 3 of the other members of Rogue Warriors to allow this fight to be cleaned up. And a lot of this just goes back to that early game, right? It's not Xin Zhao being super busted or OP. It's Xin Zhao having a ton of money in that satchel.
His satchel is bursting with gold as he now goes 8, 1, and 5. Has himself the Sterex Gauge, has himself the Gore Drinker, and Betty might be in a little bit of trouble. Paranoia comes out defensively as now RNG, they don't know exactly where everyone is. Xiaohu gets caught up here. He might be trying to be CC'd down. Great equalizer to keep this fight very much separated. The Glacial Fisher, and there's a fight on 2 fronts, and now Rogue Warriors, they find the Brom. They have Betty on the backside. He is still safe. He is still putting out damage, but look at just how much Wei can tank up. He's just sitting in front of this team, soaking in all the damage, and he still comes out with about 2/3 of his HP.
And now RNG gonna look to turn to the Baron. You might look at their comp and think, oh, this comp doesn't have good Baron damage. Ezreal, very good at taking Baron. You also have the Xin Zhao there as well, so I don't think this should be too bad for the side of RNG, especially with the fact that members of Rogue Warriors are so low. Ice Coke even had to go for the base, but 8, 9, 1, 7 and Betty are here. Some kind of miracle play, maybe not probable, but is possible.
No, it's like a repeat of game 1, though, where they keep walking in one by one. They all fall down, and Rogue Warriors, they'll only lose 1 this time round as the Baron does end up going over to the side of RNG. Equalizer does get popped down. Betty just keeps himself alive. Woo! Yes. Oh, never mind. It's the get the champagne out. It's enough to go for it. Now RNG, they've got these staggered kills. This is important. It's better to die as a unit than it is to die in these staggered 20-second intervals, because now RNG could look to try and take an inhibitor.
Yeah, RNG can just force numbers advantage on you and take your structures, right? Both of their soul laners have... Actually, Xiao doesn't have TP just yet. Looks like it'll be up in a few seconds, but heck, even when it's up, Xiao can start channeling his TP. They can take this turret. They can take an inhibitor. They can start rotating up towards top side, at least guarantee that inner turret top. But instead, RNG are looking to want to play all 3 lanes, with Xiaohu heading down towards the bottom lane. But still already massive gold swing for the side of RNG, already getting 3,000 gold off this Baron.
They haven't even reset to spend it yet. You saw them. They went immediately from Baron straight away. Take the mid inhib. Oh, TP though. Very, very deep here from Rogue Warriors. I think they feel like there's a timer. They feel like they have to go for this one. The Paranoia has been used. They know the TP is not going to be able to be used for a couple of seconds, but the Nautilus is dead. You can see the showstopper, but the Glacial Fisher does enough to just dissuade absolutely everybody. They went for the Hail Mary, but the Hail Mary was not answered. Their prayer went uncalled, and that is going to be RNG pushing forward. Crying so aggressive, just knows he can keep facilitating his team. And now with a minion wave, with the death timers, and with everybody dead, they are going to end this game and take their first win in summer 2021.
Yeah, great to see RNG find a rebound win in this series. I think Game 2 especially looking a lot cleaner for RNG. And it might be a win, but they still want to get a few more of those kills. As Xiaohu just ends up executing himself, which, you know, you just won 2 championships. Do as you please, Mr. Xiaohu. But yeah, RNG finding a win that is very well needed. You can see they don't look all too overjoyed with how they won. It still was a bit messy coming out of both games. I do think Game 2 was cleaner. It was nice to see RNG be able to execute on the kiteback composition. Also, if you guys are wondering why they're all smiling right now, Betty, of course, when he came over to LPL, was on RNG, laned with Ming, so a lot of camaraderie between Betty and the boys of RNG.
I think that's it. They're not super happy with their performance, but I think this is the best. The second game specifically was definitely the best we've seen RNG so far this split. And I think that's a very, very important distinction to make because it is a long split. It's a long season in general. When you are at the top of the LPL, we play best of 3s. We play 16 series. We have 10 teams in our playoffs. We have double elimination bracket. We then got the winner going to MSI. There is just so much League of Legends. And for RNG to be a little bit fatigued, that's very much respectable. But I think for RNG, they very much need to kind of keep this momentum going, keep showing us that they can get these pop-off performances with Gala, with Wei, and again, another threat in the team for the side of RNG.
I also think the next matchup that we have for RNG is going to be very telling, right? RNG goes from Rogue Warriors to FPX, so it's going to be a bit of a jump for the side of RNG, so hopefully they can take, key learning trips today, review these games, especially look at their Rift Herald setups, which we were talking about earlier, because that seems like the biggest point of contention in their early game, and then, maybe have a lot smoother of an early game to where we see in the mid game, RNG still understand how to play the map, they still know how to pull you apart, find vision, get these picks, like the brain is still there, you don't just instantly become bad at League of Legends, right? So for RNG, it's going to be interesting to see how they use these next few days, but overall, good performance from them. Rogue Warriors, sadly, they're still going to be searching for that win. I think we're going to be waiting for them to see, when they play up against teams like TT and V5, and then maybe that can be a bit of momentum that propels their games from being competitive losses to maybe taking a game in a series and maybe picking up a series against a lower tier team and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think for Rogue Warriors, they actually do play V5 next week, so that is a matchup that I'll call it the wooden spoon matchup as such. If you ever watch Rugby, you'll know what that means. It's like person who comes last gets the wooden spoon, and I think that's kind of where we're kind of coming from, and it's unfortunate for Rogue Warriors. It does feel a little bad, of course, when you're constantly losing, and especially when you're trying to take, against some of the teams. We talked about how some of our top teams are still top teams, but our middling teams are very much getting better and better and better. So it just feel like the gap is just widening and widening from the bottom end to the top. But there, again, I keep saying this, I feel like I'm a parrot at this stage, or it's my catchphrase. There are positives for Rogue Warriors. There was that first game, which looked very, very strong in certain areas. They just weren't able to keep the execution down, and I think that's the big thing for a lot of these lower-end teams, the V5s, the TTs, the Rogue Warriors, is that when it comes to execution, be it at whatever stage of the game, it just seems to fall apart a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely think so, but, I think Ice Coke has shown some promise throughout the series, but someone who showed way more promise in this game was Wei. I mean, he just got way too accelerated way too early on, right? The fact that he got to a point in mid-game teamfights where he can just single-handedly win teamfights, it doesn't matter if your AD carry dies, doesn't matter if Xiaohu goes down. If he is there, no one shall pass, and he can just take you all down by himself with a helping hand of Ming. I definitely think Ming and Wei were the core two who set up RNG for this win. But also shout out to the set plays coming out from RNG, because seeing the same dive come out twice with Rogue Warriors having no response, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, I think this was a great moment here for RNG fans, because what made them so successful in MSI and, of course, in Spring Split was Wei and Ming comboing up, was Wei and Ming working together to influence the map, and I feel like they are moving a little bit back towards that style of, wait, we don't even need Xiaohu to be the big carry. We don't need, Gala to be the big carry. There are picks in the jungle right now. The Rumbles, the Xin Zhaos, that can't, hell, the Viegos, if you want to go that far as well, that can be their own carries in the jungle. And we've seen it time and time again. Wei is very, very much a player that can step up to that plate.
Yeah, I just wonder going forward for RNG, are they just gonna have to keep defaulting back to picks like the Gragas and the Gnar, right? Because they pick up both wins today, but it's going back to comfort. It's going back to champions like Gnar, who was able to come out in game one because of the amount of bans we saw go out towards the top lane.
Well, we'll see if they have any answers for you. We're going to send it over to Wendy, who is standing by with the victorious Xiaohu for our post-match interview.
Hello everyone, welcome to interview, and now I'm standing by with Xiaohu from RNG after getting the first win of the split. So congratulations on today's win, and RNG's schedule just started from last week, and I think for the team it may take a little bit of time to get used to this new meta. So could you share more about the team's current form at this moment? 那首先恭喜你们今天能够很漂亮2-0拿下比赛的胜利。然后其实我们 RNG 的赛程也是从上周才刚刚开始，可能对于队伍来讲需要一点点的时间来去适应这个全新的版本。但是今天是有个很漂亮的全新的胜利，所以说你觉得现在队伍的一个状态是调整到怎么样的一个程度呢？
因为我们夏季赛就是第一场比赛的时间也比较靠后嘛，然后其实在之前的比赛我们都有大概了解过，但可能就是大家拿出来的东西有点太多了，然后我们吸收的有点杂，然后可能导致前2场比赛发挥有一点不太好嘛。然后我们现在也在慢慢的寻找自己可以赢下来的一个阵容。
I think for RNG, our schedule started from quite late, our first game. So I think in the previous matchup, we didn't manage to perform that good because we have seen like other teams, they have got so many picks, there are so many new stuffs comes in, but we didn't manage to absorb those stuffs quite well. So at this time, we're still like try to do ourselves and try to seeking for the ways to get the win and try to be more familiar with the new meta. And definitely you guys for today's performance is very good. And I want to talk a bit more about your early game because for both games, RNG, you guys tended to have so many skirmishes and tower dives and so many ganks. So are you guys purposely maybe to speed up the early game tempo a bit for this best of 3? 那其实你们今天的表现很漂亮嘛，而且2局游戏的前期我都感觉 RNG 的节奏是非常紧凑的，然后一直前期有些小规模的碰撞，然后去越塔去 gank。所以说你们有没有说可能从前期然后尽快的去就是抓紧一些比赛的节奏，就前期的一些思路是怎么样的呢？
因为今天就是我玩的2个英雄纳尔跟9筒可能都是比较偏向团队的吧，所以第一盘小维帮我上路建立的优势，省了个 TP 6级越塔的话是一个可以。就是比较可以比较正常进行的一个现象吧。然后我们今天2盘的先锋团可能都打得不是特别好吧，都是在先锋团有一些亏损的，回去还要多注意一下。
I think for today's game, with my champion choices, Gnar and Gragas, those two champions can be super strong in the team fights. So that's a reason for us maybe to have some skirmishes around the early game. Like for game 1, Wade, he can make a tower dive to help me in the very early game, so I can save that teleport and also help the teammates to do the tower dive with the number differential at the level 6. And also, but I think we still made some mistakes, especially in the Herod team fight. We didn't manage to perform that good. So for this part, we need to make some more adjustments and modifications after this game. But I want to talk a bit more about the Gragas, your champion choices, because this is not a hot pick in the current meta. So what's the reason behind this choice? And could you share more about your thoughts in this top lane choices for this current meta? 那我们接下来想问一下，就是第2局为什么小虎会直接拿出一个上单的9筒？因为9筒可能在这个版本并不是那么一个火热的上单英雄选择。然后同时我们也比较好奇，你是怎么去看待这个版本的一个上单的英雄的选择呢？
因为现在 LPL 的上单可谓是百花齐放吧，然后上路能玩的英雄也非常多。在我看来的话，在后手选出英雄的话是有非常多样性的选择的。然后今天第2盘9筒，因为对手也搬了很多梦魇比较难打的上单嘛，然后我就后手选了一个比较 counter 冲阵阵容的一个选择吧。
I think in the current meta, there's a very wide variety of top lane champion choices. All the champions, maybe they can be seen on the top lane. And for the Gragas picks, because I think if we can pick the top lane champions in the last pick, maybe there will be more potential for us to maybe have a counter pick. And also because we have already banned out some top lane champions, so I just want to pick the Gragas in game 2. So counter the opponent's very engaging composition, engaging draft, and definitely we can see your guys have a gorgeous performance. And my last question is, after MSI, there are so many overseas fans rooting for RNG and just believing in your potential, believing the potential from the whole team. So my last question is, what your thoughts and expectations toward this summer? 那其实 MSI 之后呢，有更多的海外粉丝去了解 RNG， 然后支持 RNG， 并且相信你们也是能够创造很多奇迹的队伍。所以我们最后的一个问题也是想问一下小虎对这个夏天有怎么样自己的想法和展望呢？
夏季赛的第一个目标就是进入世界赛吧，但是大家也看到我们前2场比赛也是经历了失败嘛，然后我想的话，这个夏天应该不会过得特别顺利吧，然后也可能是一个比较季后赛末尾的位置去迎接一个季后赛吧。
So definitely my first goal is we want to get into the World Championship, but as you see, the 2 previous matchups, we didn't manage to get the win and we didn't have that good performance. So maybe this summer may not be a very smooth one, and maybe we just ended up the summer with a very late standing in the playoffs. Maybe that will happen. But definitely congratulations again, and we are always believing in an even better RNG in the future. 那再次恭喜你们，我们也一直期待着更好的 RNG. And back to you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Wendy, and you got your answer there, Lyric. Was that satisfactory to your needs of what he thinks about the current meta and all the different champions?
I mean, he pretty much said, hey, a lot of champions are viable on top, and I counterpicked, and I'm gonna counterpick what fits the team comp. So, you know, kept it pretty standard. It is exactly what he did with that Gragas pick, though, right? Fit in with the disengage. So it'll be interesting to see how RNG do with that. Maybe Xiaohu's champion pool being the more flexible one, right? Because he did perform well on like Gwen, Lee Sin, etc. Maybe the change being things like Wei on the Xin Zhao coming in, crying on the Karma. Also interesting that he's very like level-headed with expectations, right? This split might be rough. We might need to hope for something like a late playoffs run. Like they kind of made in spring, right? They came in doing well in regular split, then faltered, but then made the run. So yeah, very, I don't know if the word would be humble, but very reasonable take
tempered.
From Xiaohu on exactly, yeah, very tempered take from Xiaohu on their goals and how they're looking at summer split.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you look at the next few fixtures, they play FBX on Saturday, they play top eSports next week, then they play Suning, and quite a few tough series coming up for the side of RNG, and we'll see how they're able to bounce into the momentum that they have garnered themselves in this 2-0 win. We're going to send it to a quick break, though, and when we return, we will be talking all about EDG and Suning. Talk to you soon.